We think zombies belong only in Hollywood movies. But deep inside the wild, a terrifying nightmare is very real. Monsters that don't just kill their helpless prey, they hijack their minds and turn them into living puppets, forcing them to march directly toward their own deaths. Welcome to the brutal world of real-life body snatchers. Across forests, oceans, and underground caverns, nature has created the ultimate hijackers, invisible parasites that override every nerve, muscle, and thought of their victims. These are the 10 most terrifying real-life zombie parasites on planet Earth. Deep in the tropical rainforest, a healthy ant goes about its daily routine, completely unaware that microscopic fungal spores have just landed on its shell. Using powerful chemical enzymes, the fungus secretes acid to drill directly through the ant's hard armor. But it doesn't attack the brain. Instead, it weaves a dense web through the ant's muscles, taking direct physical control of its limbs, exactly like a puppet master. As the fungal network completely overtakes its nervous system, the ant is forced to abandon its colony forever, marching aimlessly into the dark understory. Driven by precise chemical signals, it searches for the ultimate deathbed, a microclimate exactly 25 centimeters above the soil, with ideal temperature and humidity. At exactly solar noon, the parasite triggers a terrifying reflex, forcing the ant to sink its mandibles deep into the leaf vein, locking in a violent death grip. Within minutes, the fungus destroys the ant's muscle fibers, permanently locking its jaw in place, while the ant helplessly dies, attached to the leaf. Over the next few days, the true monster reveals itself, as a long, grotesque fungal stalk erupts directly through the back of the ant's skull. Once fully grown, the fungal bulb ruptures, showering a toxic cloud of thousands of microscopic spores down into the air currents below, raining horror upon the unsuspecting ant trail below, ensuring the deadly cycle of zombie control continues endlessly. A single infected ant can bring back enough spores to wipe out an entire colony of thousands, turning a thriving nest into a silent graveyard. This is not science fiction. It is a cold, calculated masterpiece of biological mind control. But while fungi dominate the land, an even more grotesque horror lurks inside the rivers, waiting for its next victim. Meet the land snail, an innocent herbivore that spends its entire life avoiding birds, hiding under dark, damp leaves. But when it accidentally ingests bird droppings infected with parasite eggs, its peaceful world turns into a nightmare. Inside the snail's digestive system, the eggs hatch into a parasitic flatworm, growing long, vibrant brood sacs that invade its body. The parasite migrates directly into the snail's eye stalks, swelling them into massive, pulsating tentacles, mimicking colorful caterpillars. These pulsing eye tentacles throb rhythmically, glowing brightly to catch the eye of hungry birds flying above. Normally, snails hide in dark, damp shade to survive, but the parasite hijacks the snail's brain, forcing it to abandon safety and climb to the highest exposed leaves. Blinded by the parasite, the zombie snail pulsates its massive eye tentacles in the open daylight, acting as a bright, glowing beacon for predators above. Mistaking the pulsating tentacles for juicy caterpillars, a hungry bird swoops down, striking the helpless snail. The bird rips off the infected eye tentacles, exactly as the parasite planned. Inside the bird's stomach, the flatworm reproduces, releasing new eggs into its droppings. Amazingly, the snail survives, regrowing its lost eye stalks, only to potentially get infected all over again. Meet the American cockroach, a resilient insect built for survival that can withstand extreme radiation and outrun almost any predator. But it is completely helpless against a single, brilliant green predator, the emerald cockroach wasp. The wasp delivers a precise first sting into the cockroach's chest, injecting venom that paralyzes its front legs for just a few minutes. Then comes the brain surgery. The wasp inserts its stinger directly into the cockroach's head, delivering a custom neurotoxin cocktail right into its brain. This venom blocks the neurotransmitter dopamine, completely erasing the cockroach's willpower and fear. It is now a living zombie. Meet the common field cricket, a harmless insect that usually avoids water at all costs, knowing that swimming means instant drowning. But when it takes a drink from a calm puddle, it unknowingly swallows microscopic larvae of the terrifying horsehair worm. Inside the cricket's abdomen, the worm grows up to a foot long, coiling inside its tiny host like a tightly wound spring. When ready to reproduce, the worm injects custom proteins directly into the cricket's central nervous system, hijacking its mind completely. The parasite alters the cricket's vision, making the reflection of moonlight on water look like safe open space, compelling the host to march straight into the lake. Under the parasite's absolute control, the cricket leaps directly into the dark water, committing involuntary suicide. The moment water hits the host, the adult horsehair worm senses its natural aquatic habitat and begins slithering out of the drowning insect. Emerging up to 3 times the length of its own host, the parasite leaves the lifeless cricket behind, free to mate in the water and lay millions of new eggs. A single infected cricket completes the cycle, ensuring thousands of new larvae lie in wait for the next thirsty insect. But mind-controlling parasites don't just stay in the water. Some can infect mammals and alter their behavior forever. Meet the common house mouse, an animal with an intense evolutionary fear of cats, hardwired to run away from even the faintest smell of feline urine. But when it gets infected with a microscopic parasite named Toxoplasma gondii, its natural survival instinct is completely erased. The parasite migrates directly to the mouse's brain, forming tiny cysts in the amygdala, the brain's emotional center responsible for fear. Instead of running away from cat scent, the parasite rewires the mouse's brain, turning its instinctual terror into fatal attraction. The zombie mouse literally walks directly towards its worst enemy, offering itself up as an easy meal. The cat pounces on the helpless mouse, completing the parasite's dark master plan. Inside the cat's digestive tract, Toxoplasma finds the only place on Earth where it can reproduce sexually, shedding millions of fresh egg cysts into the cat litter. From cat litter and unwashed vegetables, these microscopic egg cysts spread easily into human homes. Scientists estimate that over 2 billion humans worldwide are currently carrying this exact parasite inside their brain tissue right now. While mostly dormant in humans, subtle studies suggest it may slightly alter human risk-taking behavior and reaction times without us ever knowing. Beneath the ocean waves lives the shore crab, a tough marine creature protected by a thick armor shell and sharp pinching claws. But its heavy armor is useless against Sacculina, a parasitic barnacle that begins life as a microscopic swimming larva, searching for a tiny gap in the crab's shell. Once inside, the parasite sheds its hard outer body, injecting a soft group of cells that spread root-like tendrils through every part of the crab's internal organs. The tendrils absorb nutrients while controlling the crab's hormones, eventually bursting a large yellow egg sac directly through the underside of the crab's belly. If the crab is male, the parasite chemically castrates it, changing its body shape and behavior to act like a mother, forcing the male to protect and fan the parasite's egg sac as if it were its own offspring. When the parasite's eggs are ready to hatch, the zombie crab climbs onto a high underwater rock, raising its body into the strong ocean current. It aggressively fans its claws, pulsing the yellow sac to release thousands of microscopic parasite larvae directly into the sea, to infect the next generation of crabs, Trapped in permanent zombie servitude, the crab never grows, never molts, and never reproduces its own kind ever again. But ocean crabs aren't the only creatures hijacked by fungal invaders. Deep in the dense rainforests, a tiny ant is about to lose its mind to a deadly fungus. Meet the orb weaver spider, a master architect of the insect world that builds intricate, delicate webs to catch flying prey. But it becomes a helpless puppet when ambushed by the Hymenoepimecis wasp, which paralyzes the spider temporarily and glues a single egg onto its abdomen. The egg hatches into a larva that rides on the spider's back, injecting mind-altering chemicals that completely hijack the spider's web-building instincts. Under drug-induced mind control, the spider spends the entire night building a specialized, ultra-strong web cocoon designed specifically to protect the wasp, not itself. Once the heavy-duty cocoon is complete, the larva kills its architect, feeds on it, and hangs safely inside the custom fort built by its own victim. Every 17 years, millions of periodical cicadas emerge from underground to mate, completely unaware of a hidden hallucinogenic monster waiting in the soil. As the cicada digs its way up through the mud, spores of the Massospora fungus cling to its body, beginning a silent internal takeover. Inside the host, the fungus produces intense hallucinogenic chemicals, flooding the insect system with natural amphetamines and mind-altering drugs. The drugs numb all pain as the fungus eats away the cicada's entire lower abdomen, causing its tail end to literally break off into a plug of fungal spores, driven by a drug-fueled frenzy. The zombie cicada flies around hyperactively, acting like a flying salt shaker of death as it sprinkles infectious spores onto every insect it meets. Meet the lancet liver fluke, a parasitic flatworm that performs a complex mind control trick involving snails, ants, and grazing sheep. After infecting a snail, the parasite's larvae are excreted in slime balls, which are then eaten by hungry field ants. Inside the ant, a single parasite migrates to its brain, forcing the ant every evening to climb to the very tip of a blade of grass and bite down tight. Locked at the top of the blade, the helpless ant is swallowed whole by a grazing sheep, allowing the fluke to enter its final host. If not eaten, the parasite lets the ant return to its normal life during the hot day, only to mind control it again every single night. And finally, number 10, the Glyptopanthes wasp, a parasite that turns its peaceful victim into a violent, brainwashed bodyguard. The tiny wasp injects dozens of eggs inside a healthy caterpillar, where the larvae hatch and grow internally, feeding on its blood while keeping it alive. Eventually, 80 tiny larvae chew out through the caterpillar's skin, spinning small white cocoons directly on the leaf beside it. But instead of crawling away, the brainwashed caterpillar stops eating and becomes a fierce bodyguard, aggressively thrashing its head to attack any predator that comes near its master's cocoons. It defends the wasp cocoons until it dies of starvation, proving that in nature, real-life zombie mind control is far more terrifying than any movie ever made.
Nature's real zombies are real.